So-called Panama Papers expose how some of the world's most powerful people have used offshore bank accounts to conceal their wealth or avoid taxes. A check of the website of the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists revealed that some 34 companies from Barbados are listed in the leaked document. Also listed are 12 clients, 5 beneficiaries, and 34 shareholders. The companies, however, have not been named. Other Caribbean countries listed include St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, Bermuda, the Bahamas, and the British Virgin Islands. As it relates to the Bahamas, 4,987 companies are listed. Well, several countries and people, meanwhile, have sought to distance themselves from the document. It has also drawn responses from world leaders.
It is the question that everyone is asking, waiting to see what other revelations are going to come from that 11.5 million documents. Bearing in mind, though, Christy, that these documents have been pored over for the last year or so by the Commission for Investigative Journalism, as well as many, many other media outlets. So we may have seen the big headlines featuring, as you say, the Iceland Prime Minister, President Vladimir Putin, who was not named in those leaked documents, but certainly very close associates of his were, and also Xi Jinping's family named as well. The interesting one is what's happening in Ukraine with Petro Poroshenko. Now, his tactic at the moment is to say, yes, I do have these offshore companies. I fully admit to having those, but I'm not using them for any nefarious activities. The implication is that he could have used them to make tax savings, significant tax savings. Listen to what he had to say.
He's doing not for minimizing the taxes, not secretly, nothing. That was absolutely publicly appeared on Ukrainian media and registered on my name.
So he says, I've been transparent and it's all above the board, but during his election campaign back in 2014, he did say that he would sell large chunks of his chocolate empire. He's known as the Chocolate King. If he was elected, it now seems to be the fact that he's still got ownership, but he's placed it in these offshore accounts, Christy. The Ukraine public prosecutor's initial response has been, it doesn't look like there's been any criminal damage, but wait and see. And there are certainly members of Parliament pressing for A, an impeachment, and B, further investigation into this. So he's not off the hook yet. And just remember too, the Australian authorities from those documents have now launched their own investigation, as have the UK authorities and Mexico. So they may find evidence of wrongdoing, criminality, tax evasion mainly. Can't say for sure, obviously, at the moment.
The Royal Barbados Police Force is dedicating resources to tackle the issue of stunt riding by motorcyclists on the island's roads. Head of the Traffic Division, Assistant Superintendent Ronald Stanford, says the problem has become very widespread. He was speaking during CBC Presents on TV8 last night, where the topic protecting our vulnerable road users was discussed.
We are putting special operations in place, and hopefully this will reduce the whole wheeling business. It's really, we have gotten a lot of complaints from motorists.
You have arrested these people that doing these wheelies? Because sometimes I see them, I see the police never on the spot to see these people.
Some have been arrested and charged.
Motorcyclist Chad Harewood says the stunts should be seen as a skill, and he's advocating for a special area for motorcyclists to perform such activities.
The motocross guys do the wheeling on the road because their motorcycle is not made for high speed situations. Their motorcycle is built for the land, what we call the land, or basically the country areas. Hitting off of a cliff and falling, and you can land your suspension and everything is good. The street bikers cannot do that. We have the speed, therefore we don't need that adrenaline rush of a wheelie in the air. So that is the difference. They can't come on the road and speed or use a certain amount of cc's because the bike is not that powerful to enjoy it. So for them to enjoy the road, they feel the need, they have to do that. But I believe if they were offered the opportunity to have a space directly to enjoy their motorcycles and have maybe some nice CBC coverage so that we can export that to places like the X Games and these kinds of things and export this talent, we could be making some money.
Well, his suggestion was supported by Assistant Superintendent Stanford, who says this will deter motorcyclists from performing those stunts on the road. Meantime, Mr. Harewood says drivers act as though they do not want to share the road. He says drivers also have a duty to act responsibly.
It feels as if we have to explain why we need to use the road as well.
Correct.
Drivers need to understand that they need to be more vigilant, they need to stay off their cell phones, they need to stop wearing, all of a sudden I see people wearing headphones, driving.
Headphones.
Or walking on mornings early and wearing these things in their ears.
I guess that's another situation, but the drivers, we need to hold drivers responsible as well.
2 Eastern European men held for allegedly skimming ATMs will have to wait until tomorrow before they know their fate. The two, 25-year-old Bulgarian Anton Nedev and 39-year-old Ukrainian Ruslan Lesker, were remanded to Dodds Prison when they appeared in court yesterday. Police say they executed a search warrant at the apartment of the 2 accused men and seized articles and devices connected to skimming, as well as a quantity of money. The 2 were jointly charged with the offenses of going equipped and money laundering. Nedev was also charged with being in possession of 1 Spanish driver's license and 1 Ministry of the Interior card for use in connection with criminal deception. Now, back in 2013, 2 Bulgarians were arrested and charged in what was described back then as the country's largest case of ATM fraud. A 30-year-old Jamal Orlando Worrell also appeared in court yesterday and was remanded. He is accused of a number of firearm and drug offenses. The School Lane, Halls Road, St. Michael resident will return to court on May 3rd. Search warrants were executed at Worrell's home last Friday and illegal items recovered. The owner of a popular restaurant in the city is foreseeing dismal times ahead if the agriculture sector isn't given immediate attention. Ashiba Trotman, owner of the Rastafari Health Trade and Culture Circle located on Tweedside Road, says this not only goes for planting your own food but supporting local farmers. Besides adding to the already sizable food import bill, Ms. Trotman says refusing to recognize the importance of agriculture is a grave mistake.
Our agriculture needs attention. Any nation that does not have agriculture is a nation without its culture. If we do not have agriculture going, we're going to have a lot of sick people. We're going to have malnourished children who cannot concentrate in school. They can't do their educational work. We're going to have a lot of people out of jobs. We're going to have a lot of barren lands with pestilence and rodents. That is what is happening to us now.
Ms. Trotman's family restaurant directly supports local farmers, and she encouraged others to do the same. She says this is the first step of wealth creation for small businesses.
We need to create employment. We need to make the linkages between us and the small farmers, whereby we can go to their farms, have them plant foods for us seasonally. Hence, then we reap those foods. Those farmers get paid, their workers get paid. We bring food here. We give our citizens clean, locally grown. Most of our food is locally grown. The foods that we sell here at the Rastafari Health Trade and Culture Circle. Every Saturday morning you could find us in the market amongst the farmers, choosing the best produce we can find.
A leading local musician has had one of his pieces adopted as the official song for Barbados's Golden Jubilee celebrations. John Rowett donated his song, Barbados is Home, after news emerged that none of the 21 submitted in a competition call late last year gained the approval of a judging panel. Permanent Secretary attached to the 50th Anniversary of Independence Celebration Secretariat, Gabrielle Springer, says Mr. Rowett made the offer after hearing about the unsuccessful search. Ms. Springer adds that Mr. Rowett, who offered to write the song as his gift to the nation, will manage and produce the recording, which will feature several of Barbados's leading artists. The Secretariat will meet the technical costs of the production. The Permanent Secretary adds the song is expected to be completed later this month, after which it will be officially launched. Well, time for a break, but when we come back, regional and international news. Stay with us.